$14 for a dozen eggs. I literally just was at grocery outlet, and even at grocery outlet, even at some of the cheap stores, eggs are freaking expensive. And frankly, a lot of groceries are expensive right now. And so I know even for my middle class families, even for my families who are doing decently well financially, I know that buying food is really hard right now. So today I want to show you how you can still eat like an athlete without draining your wallet or your parents' wallet. So today I'm breaking down the best strategies for eating on a budget as an athlete, and finding hidden discounts, finding the best stores to shop at, and a lot of other things that are going to help you still get what you need as an athlete, but cheaper. So let's start with the number one mistake athletes make, which is going straight for the cheapest, easiest foods. So I know it's easy when you are low income, when you're below the poverty line, whatever you want to call it. The natural draw is to go for fast food. You know, you're tired, you've been doing all this working out, maybe you work, you have school, you have all these things going on. It's easy for you, your family, to just go for the fast food. It's also easy when you're at lunch, maybe you get some chips from somebody, or maybe you just, buy the chips because they're the easy thing. Frozen meals, I grew up on freaking frozen meals. But a lot of these foods, especially as an athlete, they're going to leave you underfueled. You're not getting the right types of nutrition in you, and it's going to leave you sluggish, especially if you're relying on chips and a lot of the more fried foods to keep you functioning. So the trap is to automatically go for fast food. We see the $5 fast food meal, or the $8 now, $10, whatever it might be, and it seemed like a good deal. But the issue with that is, it's often low in protein. So you're not really getting a whole lot of protein out of it. You're not really feeling fuller. You're not really being able to build the muscle as well. High in processed carbs and high in unhealthy fats. So if you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to stay lean, it's going to be very difficult to do that with most fast food options out there. The other piece is frozen and the processed meals. Again, I lived off of a lot of that stuff. We did the corn dogs, the taquitos, the frozen dinners, all those types of things. And most of those, again, are just going to be loaded with preservatives. They're loaded with empty calories, and most of them are not very high in protein. Now, I have some guides around, there are some frozen meals you can utilize, but they're typically going to be more expensive. So even the frozen meals may not always be the best option. They can be if you really do not have time. Again, we got to make sure we're getting the higher protein ones, and just the more balanced options. But this is the one that I feel like impacts the athlete the most. So parents, you guys tend to be the ones that are like, okay, frozen meals, fast food, this is what I have capacity for, especially in season. It's chaotic. This one, athletes, this is where you guys tend to struggle the most, is being dependent on granola bars, chips, candy, energy drinks, soda, and basically using that for your energy. But if you guys actually took a step back and actually think about, okay, I had that granola bar, say 30 minutes ago. How's my energy levels at this point? It's probably dipping down. The energy drink, you got that boost of energy, and then you start to crash. And if you're taking those energy drinks later in the day, you're going to be crashing, and then you're not even going to be sleeping at night because you still got that caffeine rolling around in your system at night. So if you're trying to function and you're spending this money on the granola bars, the chips, the energy drinks, the sodas, it's a cheap way to give energy that doesn't last. So ultimately, it's going to hold you back. But here's the thing. Real food can still be cheap. You can still find ways to actually find affordable foods that are still cheap. So let's just take the granola bar, for example. Granola bars in themselves, not always the greatest thing in the world. They can be cheap, and that's why people buy them. But if you were to upgrade just a little bit, maybe go to Cliff Bars, maybe go to a protein bar, like these ones I got at Costco, they're the grab and go, or RX bars. There's a lot of different options where you still get some protein in there. You get 10, 12, 15. This one has 18 grams protein, and it's less than $2 a piece. A lot of them, like the Cliff Bars, you can get for less than $1. If you're buying them at grocery outlet, buying them at Costco, you can get them pretty cheap. I do not buy my protein bars from a regular grocery store like a Fred Meyer because they're always going to be more expensive. If you buy them from Costco, you buy them from grocery outlet, you can get some pretty good deals on it. But even though eggs are $14 a dozen right now, or wherever you're buying them from, they're still going to be potentially cheaper than these protein bars. So if you have 2 eggs, you got 12 grams of protein right there, depending on the size of the egg. That right there is, say a little over $2, even at the current price. And that's still going to be about the same price, and sometimes, again, cheaper depending on where you're buying your protein bars. So eggs can still be a good leverage. Egg whites, even better. I love the eggs. You need some of those yolks. But then if you need some extra protein, you buy the big things of egg whites, and that's an easy way to get just the protein out of it. But then also, like, there's so many foods that we tend to forget about, like rice, like beans, like oats. Like, I'm big on my oats. Like, oats are cheap. You can get like the big things of the quick oats, and you can get them pretty cheap. Beans, you can get the big bags of beans, or you can just get some canned beans. And again, super easy ways to get, the beans. You got some protein in there, you got some carbs. Rice, going to be a very cheap carbohydrate. Oats, going to be cheap, but again, quality carbohydrate. Easy things to build out some meals for the week. A Chipotle bowl is at least $12, probably $15 at this point. If you just bought some chicken, you got some rice and beans, even if you got those from, say, a food bank, you got the rice and beans from the food bank, and then you just paid for the chicken. That's going to be cheaper than, and you just make that for the whole week. That's going to be cheaper than trying to buy a Chipotle bowl. But I do want to highlight, though, there are people like Alex Hormozi is a really good example, very big name. And when he did not have a lot of money, when he's trying to build his company, and he's still freaking building muscle and becoming, swole or whatever, he talks about how Chipotle was the place that he ate. Chipotle and Costco were his places. So, you can leverage Chipotle in a way that I would leverage that more than any of the other fast food places. The sandwich place is good. It's less of the McDonald's, less of the Chick-fil-A, more of like a Chipotle or a sandwich place, things like that. But then you got Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is kind of raised in price just because everything's going up in price, but it's still a pretty affordable protein. You combine that with the oats, you can make some overnight oats. You could maybe add the Greek yogurt on the side if you did some like hot oatmeal, but that's going to get you a lot further than if you just bought a $5 or $6 box of cereal that's only going to last you 4 to 5 meals. That cereal is basically $1 a meal, and it's not really filling you up because you're going to be hungry, within an hour, 2 hours, and you're going to need to eat something else because there's no protein in there. So if you switch it out, and you get a big thing of oats for the same price, and it lasts you significantly longer, like a couple weeks at least. And then you add the Greek yogurt, which also is going to last you about 4 or 5 days if you buy one of the tubs. Again, that's going to be way more protein. It's going to last you more meals, and it's going to be a lot more effective for your performance. Another one. So, we talk about the frozen meals. They're usually like 4 or 5, 6, depending on where you buy them. They're like $5-ish a meal. Then you got the frozen pizzas. Frozen pizzas can, at this point, they're typically like $8 to $10. Or you could buy a Costco size ground beef for like $3 to $4 a pound, and you can spread that out over multiple meals versus the pizza that's really only going to be 1 to 2 meals for you as an athlete. And it's that pizza is not really going to fill you up, and you're not going to feel too great afterwards. Versus you eat the ground beef, you're probably going to not feel terrible, especially if you add some rice, you add some other things to it. So again, it doesn't mean you have to do all the meal prepping again every single day, like bulk prep these things. You can save time and save money. So cook it all on the weekend, on a Sunday or something, get all your food taken care of for the week. And, again, you can save time and you can save money that way. But, if we constantly are going for this empty calories through the pizzas, the candies, things like that, they're really not going to take you very far. So that's why, again, like, you can do that, and you can really limit yourself as an athlete. When I talk about the tiers of nutrition, I talk about eating like a college athlete or a high school athlete versus college versus D1 versus pro. You may not have the resources to eat like a D1 athlete. I was just talking to literally an athlete today at one of the schools I talked to, and he's talking about, he's like, man, these D1 schools, this guy's got a smoothie for breakfast, and then he's got like this protein shake that, again, it's kind of like basically a smoothie. They got these nice meals and everything at this like D1, D1 athlete or D1 team. I understand that not all of us can do that in our current financial situations. So that's why we have to figure out, leverage things a little bit and be like, okay, well, like, let's at least get you to the college level. Let's make the most with what you got. So let's make sure that you're eating enough protein. Let's make sure you're eating more whole grains versus, a lot of the processed grains, and more of the better fats versus a bunch of fried fats. Peanut butter is super cheap. It's getting more expensive, like everything, but it's still going to be cheaper, and it's going to be better than eating a bunch of fried foods. Chicken, we can still buy that in bulk. When we talk about where to shop for the best deals on healthy foods, we can go to a Costco or a Sam's Club. I don't really know who goes to a Sam's Club, but it exists. Costco is really the main thing, and I'm in the Northwest where we invented Costco. So Costco is a great place, again, to buy things in bulk. I live on a budget. I live in 200 to 300 square feet. I'm trying to save money myself. And so I tend to, even though I live by myself, I spend a lot of money on Costco, or I shop a lot more at Costco because I can get things in bulk. I can save $2-3 a bar on protein bars. I can save a few dollars buying a big thing of beans or a big thing of rice or a big thing of fruit, frozen veggies, than if I were to just buy it at the regular grocery store. And then another thing I do with Costco is I have their Costco credit card. Athletes, don't be getting a credit card in high school. You're not mature enough for that. But I use that Costco credit card and I get points for that. And those points, I get a rebate for that every year. And that rebate is usually almost double, if not more, of what the Costco membership actually costs. And the only things I use on that credit card is my food budget and my gas budget. Those are the only things that go on that card, and I save a lot of money that way. So again, little things that we can do to make it work. And I mean, it does help your credit score a little bit. So there is that, but you got to do it responsibly. You got to not just like overbuy on everything, but it's things that you can leverage. Again, I also buy my peanut butter there. I highly recommend, and this is a bigger picture advice as well. If you're trying to save money and you still want to, you need to eat fruits and veggies, buy frozen fruits and frozen veggies. They tend to be cheaper, especially look for the ones that are cheaper. Like when I go to Costco, almost every single time, I will buy the stir fry mix of frozen veggies because they're the only frozen veggie that's less than $2 a pound. Like that's how I think things through. And it's just by default at this point. And it's a good variety of vegetables and it gets the job done. Frozen fruits, blueberries can be really cheap. Strawberries kind of in that mix. Mango can be pretty cheap. So I tend to rotate between those frozen fruits. You get the mixed fruits, those tend to be a little bit more expensive. I don't understand the math versus the frozen veggies, but again, easy things that you can do to still get what you need. And honestly, frozen fruit in many ways can actually taste better than fresh fruit, and it lasts longer. And again, it's going to be cheaper. So, you use those things to your advantage. There's also stores like Grocery Outlet and Winco. So Grocery Outlet, one of my favorite places to shop. Initially I was able to buy eggs there before eggs just continued to skyrocket, and then they didn't have eggs and Costco didn't have eggs and all that stuff. And so that's where I'd go. Protein bars also tend to be cheaper there. There's a lot of things, the oats, that's where I tend to buy them. Winco can be another good place for that. Also, though, think about like, hey, there is some of those ethnic grocery stores, some of those smaller stores where you might be able to actually buy some pretty good rice, beans, maybe even produce for some pretty good deals. This depends on if you live in a city versus small town, but again, still could be a good option there. And then also think about like you might be able to save money through an online grocery store. So like a Thrive Market, the Amazon, kind of weigh your options, but those actually might be cheaper and they deliver to you. So, it saves you time, especially as an athlete. Again, you guys are extremely busy. And so test that out a little bit. You might actually be able to save money if you shop on, say, Amazon or Thrive or something like that. But yeah, these are just some of those like grocery tips, but I also want to give you guys specific money saving tips as well. So related to the grocery stores. Use the apps. When I am thinking about going to Fred Meyer's, I'll be honest, I tend to Costco and grocery outlet. I go to the most, but Fred Meyer's is also on the way home from work, so sometimes I might grab that. So when I go to Fred Meyer's though, I have the app. The app is very, very useful because what Fred Meyer's does is if you're going to be the person buying soy milk on a regular basis, they're going to give you coupons to buy their brand of the soy milk. I get free of their brand soy milk like once a month. I don't love their flavor, but hey, sometimes I'm going to use it if that's the soy milk that's available. Or maybe they'll give you a discount on eggs. Or maybe they'll give not now, but you'll get discounts on different things, but it's going to be often based on what you buy. The more you buy those things, the more they're going to give you coupons based on what you buy. I don't know about the other grocery store apps like Safeway and whatnot. I don't use them as much, but those are some of the things where I look at like, hey, where are you actually going to be saving money if you shop there regularly? Don't try to go to 4 different grocery stores. Time is money. So if you're spending an excessive amount of time shopping and all of that, that's not going to save you time. It's not going to save you money. But again, those are little things that you can kind of leverage is use some of those apps. Just don't use all of them because again, time. Now, this is one again for those families who really are on tight budgets. I know it can be hard to seek out help, but you got to eat. And the more that you can at least get some decent quality or even high quality foods, even if it means asking for a little bit of help, like do it. My dad was the most stubborn person in the world. And it took him until I think it was my junior year of high school until we finally used a food bank. And it helped. My dad still didn't always choose some of that. Like we'd get like the pastries and stuff still from them or whatever. And he won and expected me to eat the rest of it, that type of stuff. But like, there's still so much stuff you can get from the food banks and from community programs as well. There's other things, other things in your community maybe, but the beans, the rice, the oats, the like beans and rice specifically are like subsidized things. They're things that, the US, like USDA or whoever donates to these food banks so that they always have things like beans, rice, things like that, like shelf stable things, canned vegetables, fruit, whatever. So you can get a lot of those dried products, a lot of those shelf products from them. And then they get produce donated from farms or from other grocery stores, things like that, things that are about to go bad. So then you can use that for a couple days as well. Again, you can save a lot of money just by using that. And if you really are worried about not even having a meal, then you got to go to a food bank. If you don't even know when your next meal is going to be, go to a freaking food bank. Like, please, because you can at least get some options there, and they're very chill about they're not going to turn somebody down unless they're abusive, combative. So be nice. They're helping you for free, or most of them for free. And so do leverage those things. And then if you're in a small town or if you're in certain areas, you might even be able to utilize local farms or people who have some of those things. My sister has a friend who has eggs right now, so anytime I go to her house, I'm like, hey, can I get some eggs here? It's expensive out here. It's so little things like that you might be able to actually get some pretty good deals by utilizing those who are closest to you. And then if you're in high school and you want to eat well and you want to make some money at the same time, one of these smartest moves you can make is to get a part-time job at the right place. So I'm not saying go and get a job at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's in high school. You can make it work, but it tends to be easier if you choose the right place. Now, I know you guys are athletes. You guys are like, well, I don't have time for, 20 hours a week or whatever it might be. There's a lot of restaurants and grocery stores, especially in those smaller towns, especially now, they'll take anything. So if you can work 2 4-hour shifts a week, that alone, that'll help you out, but it'll help them out too. That's one less thing that they'll have to cover, one less thing they got to worry about. So, be a good employee, get some experience, but if you can go to the right places. So, find a restaurant. And again, McDonald's, you can make it work. There's some grilled chicken options, but McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, they're not traditionally, especially Burger King and stuff, Taco Bell, no. They're not traditionally known for healthy foods. Don't go to the places that don't tend to have many good options. Panda Express, you got a lot of grilled chicken options there. You got the rice bowls, Chipotle, got plenty of options, the smoothie places, the sandwich places. There's a lot of ways you can eat healthy. You get a staff meal, you get a discount from them, you get something, typically from a lot of those places. Maybe some of the small places where it's like, a one-man show, things like that, you may not be able to. But for a lot of the chains or like larger restaurant chains, you might be able to do that. You also got the grocery stores. Fred Meyer's, I always remember even in school, they talk about like the different deals and discounts and things like that Fred Meyer's employees gets. They want you to spend money on their stuff. And so they're going to give you a discount on it. So, utilize that. Take advantage of that if that's an option in your town. Maybe it's working at a gym, so you get a free membership if that's a challenge for you, is getting your workouts in. So you save money on a gym membership, you can spend that $30, $40, $50 a month on food. But I know it can be hard to balance a job with your training and with school. I gave up sports early in high school, but my junior senior year I was working 30 hours a week. I'm asking you guys to work 8 hours a week. I was nearly working full time. During the summers I was working full time, and it was hard and it can be challenging. I was taking pre-calc, and while the teacher was going over the topic of the day that was assigned for that homework, he was showing us how to do it. I was doing the homework how he was teaching us at the same time. So it wasn't ideal, and I don't think my teacher loved it, but he acknowledged, he recognized, like, hey, you're kind of running tight here on, like, I did not have a lot of time. So that's how I leveraged that. So you can do that too. You can do little things of like, hey, how can I save time by doing a little bit of homework in class? How can I take advantage of, again, just working smarter, not harder, with homework, with whatever, so that you're still learning, you're still doing what you got to do, but do it in a way that's not taking you, hours on hours and hours. But then on the job side, again, find those opportunities where you can make that money and you can get some free food out of it, maybe even some prepared food. So, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But just to give you guys, some ideas though, as well, back to the food piece, is some cheap high protein meals that you can have as an athlete. Eggs, even though they're expensive, you can still build out something with eggs, with rice, with veggies. Maybe it's eggs, whole wheat, toast, and some veggies. Oatmeal is still cheap. Peanut butter is still cheap relatively to everything else. Protein powder, get a decent protein, like a good protein powder, like even if you buy it Orgain, or make sure it's third party tested. We talk about that in the supplement videos, but you can still get some pretty good price proteins that you can add in there if you need a little extra protein. Maybe it's just the egg whites that you're buying to get the extra protein, or the Greek yogurt. Chicken, bean, and rice bowls, again, super cheap, easy to prep. Greek yogurt with frozen fruit and some granola, maybe some seeds in there, like pumpkin seeds. Again, I buy those from Costco. Again, you get the protein, you get the fats, you get the color, you get some carbs. I like to use the frozen fruits because if I'm using plain yogurt, the frozen fruit kind of makes the yogurt taste way better than if I just did fresh fruit because of the juice from the fruit. So little things like that. You could also do like sandwiches or wraps. So, there are athletes who have been broke and have like built muscle off of just eating, sandwiches. It's not the perfect way to build muscle. It's not the healthiest way to do it, but you might have to do it for a while so that you have better opportunities to compete at the next level. So whether that be PB&Js, turkey sandwiches, canned tuna, canned sardines can still be somewhat cheap, and it's one of the healthier fish options that you can do. Canned tuna a couple times a week, not too much, but you could do like canned sardines if you're able to. Again, I literally I know they're not the cheapest, and so I saw them on sale at Costco this week, and I bought like three like 6-packs of them. So I got enough for, I don't know, like 3 months. So yeah, little things like that. Also, again, buy them on sale. So, with a little bit of planning, with a little bit of purpose, you can still eat like an elite athlete without breaking the bank. We just got to think about it a little bit, and we've got to make some sacrifices, whether that's a sacrifice to our honor by going to a food bank, whether that's a sacrifice of, which, by the way, like, seriously, we all need help sometimes. We need sometimes we need a food bank. Sometimes we need a little help from somebody else. That's what these charities are for. That's what hospitals are for. That's what, I mean, hospitals, some of them make a lot of money, but like that's ultimately like, we have a support system. We're not supposed to do this alone. So make sure that you are seeking help when you need help. Find those things that can help you save some money. Again, I leverage some of those things. And you really should explore some of that stuff too. And continue to, again, define ways. Hey, maybe it's working, again, 8 hours a week. Maybe it's working just during the summer and you can save up money so that it can help spread you out during the school year. Maybe, whatever it is, like job wise, again, the apps, using certain grocery stores over other grocery stores. I very rarely go to Safeway because it can be so expensive. I live by like a Whole Foods place. That one's like super expensive. Though it's not Whole Foods, it's similar, PCC, and I'm not going to shop there because it's just so expensive compared to other places. So, focus on what you can do with what you got. If I can give you guys any advice on anything in life, it is take what you got and make the most out of it. Whether that's the money that you have, whether it's the resources you have, whether it's the family, the skills, whatever you have, make the most out of it. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it. That's my advice to anybody with anything. So, you can eat like an elite athlete on a budget. It's not going to look like what LeBron eats. It's not going to look like exactly what Tom Brady eats, but it's going to be way better than what everybody else is doing. And you can potentially do it cheaper than what other people are eating garbage for. But again, like, make the most of what you got, do what you can. It's probably going to suck for a while, but things sometimes suck so that later they don't suck. You have to embrace the suck to eventually get a little bit of reward out of it. So, do what you got to do, and it's gonna get easier. You gotta keep going at it. Now, if you have questions about this, you need ideas, you need resources, you have questions, like, reach out to me. I am happy to answer questions around this. I'm happy to try to give you guys resources, ideas, help you, direct you in the right place. And then if you like this episode, if you guys think this is valuable, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody who needs to hear it. You have other athletes who want to be competitive, who maybe struggle financially. You have other athletes who want to learn, want to grow, and want to be the best athlete they can be. Then share this with them, and make sure that you're subscribed to it. Because if you're subscribed, you're going to see it in your feed. You're going to see those things pop up so that you can continue to learn, grow, and really eat like an elite athlete. So, as always, keep striving for greatness.